Hey everybody, it's Marie here to talk about And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 5, Under the Table. Eh, I don't know how I feel about this. On the plus side, a lot of really nice references to Sex and the City, so they are trying. And better fashion. There are some outfits I actually really like to see Carrie in. On the bottom side, just again, a lot of just it's just so stupid. The writing is so dumb. All right, well, let's get into it. So we start off, Carrie notices a new neighbor. This guy walks in, he's like dressed as Sean Connery in Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. He's wearing a stupid hat. He has old-timey big brown leather luggage. And he's walking into Carrie's gate and downstairs, not even his own gate. So apparently her house is something of a duplex. It's a shared space. It's one of these magical houses where potential love interests just spring out from the ground. And so this guy, apparently her downstairs neighbor, is sleeping downstairs, and Carrie is walking all over her house every day in a new pair of heels. And so this sparks a really wonderful montage of fabulous shoes going across that floor. And meanwhile, this neighbor downstairs is sleeping all day and trying to, and freaking out, and rocking and rolling, and throwing pillows everywhere. And okay, so it's absurd. I mean, somebody just walking quietly upstairs in heels, like that's gonna keep you from sleeping if unless you're like the lightest sleeper ever. But okay, he's a very light sleeper and he's throwing a little hissy fit. And what makes it even dumber is when you listen to the writers' room discuss this actor and they called this performance a tour de force. I mean, I don't know who this guy is or how these writers know him, but my God, they are in love with him. They carry on like this is the most incredible, like this is Laurence Olivier or whatever, like this is the most incredible friggin' performance they've ever seen in their life. How they go on about this particular actor in the writers' room, it's embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed for him. No one should be talked about in this grandiose manner. But apparently, this freaks him out. So at some point, he runs upstairs through the back, up those spiral staircase, up to Carrie's room. So he has shares the front gate space with her and the backyard with her. This is a shared space. So this is like a duplex, all right? It's not a mansion. It's a duplex. I don't get how this works. If you're New Yorkers, feel free to explain this to me in the comments. But he knocks on her back door and yells at her for, wearing high heels everywhere. And his name is Duncan Reeves, and he's asking her not to wear heels in the house because he can't sleep, and he's been sleep deprived for days because she's walking. And she's like, well, look, in my defense, I'm not running, I'm not doing exercises in heels, I'm not bowling, I'm not, dancing and listening to music. I'm just walking, dude. So he asks her to remove the high heels. She's like very upset. So she goes and has lunch with the main four now. Let's just say it. They're essentially replacing Samantha Wasima. So the four main ladies now are sitting there together, and she brings up his woman's right to shoes, and Seema reminds Carrie, hey, I told you about this guy. He's from England. He comes in once, every 6 months, he comes in, then leaves. So apparently this guy was supposed to. This is so stupid. So why is she? We'll get into the whole garden and the atom of it all later. It's so dumb. Okay, so this man just shows up, and his name is Duncan Reeves, and he's a major biographer that everybody loves. And Miranda's been waiting for him to create his next book. He's been really, really, I guess a severe writer's block, and Miranda just wants him to write. So she's asking Carrie, hey, can you take off your shoes? Let this man sleep. I'm waiting for this biography. So Miranda herself is in an Airbnb again, listening. She has a neighbor that keeps her up all night listening to heavy metal, and she can't get work done in her own home. Okay, so the next scene we have, and by the way, in this particular scene, Carrie is wearing like I love the black and white outfit she's in. Um, I think I'm gonna put the picture up if I can find it for the main video of this. But with the sleeves and the shirt dress, I'm kind of obsessed with this outfit and the Pierre Cardin bag. They do have her dressed better by and large. There are some scenes where it's a little tacky and schlocky again, but the fashion of this episode is not as offensive or annoying as it gets in a lot of these shows. Um, but then, really sadly, Harry goes on a walk with Charlotte. They walk the dog outside Guggenheim so that Harry can have a discussion with her. And he's like, "Hey, you remember how I pissed myself in that club and I couldn't get it up the other night? Well, decided to go to a doctor and I have prostate cancer." They better not be killing off Harry. I'll be so friggin' mad if they kill off Harry. So, of course, Charlotte's very upset, and Harry's like, "Look, it's one of the more beatable cancers out there. I caught it early." Then he goes, "But I ask you, just in," and, Charlotte's like, "Well, okay, I'll quit my job and take care of you." No, no, no. Harry doesn't want Charlotte to do that. But Harry does want Charlotte to not tell anybody in their family, not the girls, not any of their friends, that he has cancer. He doesn't want to be the cancer guy. Honestly, the storyline hits very hard with me. I've been in this exact same spot when my husband told me he had Hodgkin's lymphoma. Not, I don't want to be cancer guy. Don't tell anybody. And that was a really rough, really, really, really rough 2 weeks. But like Charlotte and Harry, we've got kids, all right? Like there's like kids in the house. Like that's not a thing that can be a secret very, very long. So while that was a very painful secret to have to keep, luckily, didn't have to keep it for very long. And like 2 weeks later, and the cat was clearly out of the bag. My husband couldn't keep the secret anymore. So it's and I've had dear friends who have done this. And they kept people out of the loop until it was unfortunately like really late, and then some of their friends were surprised. So keeping the cancer a secret, it's really tough. It's tough on your loved one. It's tough on the people who do know. And it's going to come out inevitably. It always comes out. So it's really a matter of how you control that information. But trying to keep a secret to avoid being a cancer person altogether is never a realistic goal. I personally, if you're in this situation, I recommend having a spouse or someone close to you explain it on your behalf, tell your friends, and then tell them not to make you the cancer guy. I feel like that's the method that works best. But this is devastating. Charlotte's obviously upset. But she's got to keep it secret. So now we're in the LTW and Herb's house of it all, and they're fighting about their now this couple I never had a problem with. Now they're just irritating. They're irritating and they're bickering and arguing about who said what about every stupid little thing. And LTW has packed the bags and is going to a trip to Atlanta. She's got the kids all prepared to go to the Governor's Island for a glamping weekend with the Golden Blots. And they're all glamping and everything's ready to go. She just needs, I guess Herbert to bring the kids. And Herbert was planning a weekend for political stuff, but he forgot all about the glamping. He swears LTW didn't tell him and blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Okay. They're just bickering and fighting for the sake of bickering and fighting. So we can probably set up LTW for a cheating story. Let's see. And now, okay. Seema is after a loan. Seema wants to get a loan from her, for her new business. And she is sitting in the bank talking to Linda. Linda, who very famously was the same woman who Carrie sat down in front trying to get a loan to buy her house. And said, well, she only has $700 in her bank account, her checking account, $900 in her savings, and she needs a $40,000 check to be able to buy her house. And, Linda says, well, you're not a very good candidate for the loan. Well, Linda says the same thing essentially to Seema. It's an older Linda, and Linda's still at the same desk, and Linda still has to go talk to her manager, and Linda has not been promoted in 20 years, and I find that hilarious. Okay, so Carrie decides she's gonna try to smooth things over with a neighbor. So she brings Duncan, the douchebag, a big giant welcome basket full of teas and goodies and things. And Duncan is still being a douche. He's sucking on a big, giant wooden pipe. Like they're trying to make this guy, and he's a good enough looking guy. He seems age appropriate for Carrie, but they're trying to make him look like a 90-year-old, like old British person. It's just ridiculous. So she gives him this gift, and he gives her a pair of slippers he out of an Amazon bag, and they look like, granny slippers that you'd spend $6 on a Christmas gift for a grandmother you barely know, I guess. And she's like, "Well, I'm allergic to that. I'm allergic to whatever this is." She doesn't like that at all. And now he's mad. He's mad. Well, I can't get any sleep anyway because you have this gardener in the backyard, dredging up and build, taking up the entire ground and massive construction project. And I'm like, again, like landscape, she called at him before she met him, the landscape architect. They normally don't start construction on grounds until they have required, permits and especially like permission of the people who actually own the properties. Like they usually get some sort of proof of ownership. If this guy had any access to the backyard, if this is a shared property, like why would Carrie even think to I mean, I get it. If you don't like rats, so then don't go out there and type if you don't like rats. Avoid the rats until you can at least get in contact with your neighbor and ask permission to completely reform a shared space. This makes zero sense. Like, who does this? Like, yeah. Okay, I don't know. But we're gonna pass that because, oh, these people. Okay, so. A Goldenblatt's now we're at the Goldenblatt's kitchen, and Lily and Rose or Rock or whatever, they come in, and as a united front, they don't want to go glamping. And Chris and Charlotte's like, "Well, heck, you're gonna go glamping. You're gonna have special time with family and your father, and you're gonna go glamping." And then Rock's like, "I'm out." Rock's just like, they're trying to make Rock actually like cool and have a personality, and I appreciate that. But she forgets she's a vegan and she wants to eat cheese, so I don't know how much you can help Rock. But Lily is upset because that weekend she has to split her time with Eric. She's in love with this ballet dancer named Diego who's polyamorous. And if she's away for the weekend, then Eric gets both nights. And Charlotte's like trying to logic this, and she's just like, well, I don't care. You're not going to call your dad. You're not going to change to glamping. We're going to do this. You're not going to bother your father about it. You're going glamping. It's family time. And and then she looks at Anthony, who's always at the kitchen. Anthony's just lives at the kitchen. Apparently, I, I don't know. I don't know why he's always at the kitchen, but okay. She's like, I can't believe this is what modern parenting is, and he's looking at her like, neither can I, Char. Like, because of course not. No parent negotiates with their kids about polyamorous and dating. This. Oh my gosh. I hope like I mean, when is Charlotte going to have the thruple conversation and have her daughter get some self-esteem? I bet she better not be delivering condoms for her banging Diego while Diego is banging Eric. My gosh. I mean, I'm a child of I was her age in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s, and I'm telling you, like, they still used to scare the living hell out of us that if you so much as, more than made out with somebody without 3 condoms on, you were going to die of AIDS. It was a definite fact. But now these kids are going like polyammo. I mean, ugh, I can't even with these people. All right, so oh yeah, so Carrie finally remembers, hey, I live in this giant mansion and Miranda lives in an Airbnb. Hey, maybe we can come move in with us. And Miranda's like, at first, she's on the phone. No, I prefer not to. Yeah, I like my own space. And the guy across the hall is playing his music. Now, in the last couple scenes ago, she throws a note underneath his door to tell him to be quiet, and it worked. And this time she puts a note under his door, and the guy opens the door, and it's an old crazy man. He's bare naked, except that he has some socks on, and he has a whole hatchet, like a meat cleaver, in his hand. And he's like, "You throw another letter underneath the door at me like that, and I'll do such and such." He's threatening her life. So She runs and lives with Carrie. Now she also asks Carrie, "I need a space of my own. I need my realtor sucks. Can you talk to Seema for me?" And Carrie's like, "Well, no, I don't want to mix friends with business." Again, I don't understand this dynamic at all. Like Miranda in the very one of these very first scenes, Miranda is at lunch eating with Seema. She's sitting next to Seema. She can just friggin' talk to Seema. Like, why does she need Carrie as a go-between? They're hanging out now. Just she should have invited. I don't. The writing is just so bad. I can't with this. Okay, so apparently too, they reference the fact that Carrie and Miranda were actually roommates once in the '90s, and they shared a place on Bank Street. That's interesting. So Miranda comes in to move in with Carrie, and the first thing Carrie does is act like a total biatch and ask Miranda to take her shoes off. And Miranda's confused at this as anybody would be, and Carrie's like, "Oh, but see, I know how to walk in heels, and you don't." And Carrie's like really, really quiet, and apparently Miranda's not so quiet, so Miranda has to walk around barefoot in Carrie's house while Carrie walks in heels. And then lo and behold, the door, a ring at the door, and a big giant table is being delivered, and it's the table that Carrie wanted. Aiden was the guy who bought it for her, and as a big romantic gesture, Aiden sent the table over. And in the previews for next week, we see that Aiden has come back, so we're not done with the Aiden of it all. And he'll probably end up at the end. I'm so tired of Aiden and his stupid ugly table. Okay, now we're with LTW. She's in the plane in Atlanta, and Marion is just being a total dork. And I suppose this is supposed to be flirting. He's supposed to be flirting with LTW as she's trying to get her bags and get off the plane to her family. He's just Marion's just a dork. And then LTW goes to Herb, and Herb like they're fighting over s'mores chocolate and who was supposed to get the chocolate, and they're just bickering over this to the point that Charlotte has to shut them up and say, "Hey, it's just friggin' chocolate. They sell it at the gift shop. It's not like cancer or anything." And everybody gets quiet. And okay. Then we're back with Carrie and Miranda at the Gramercy Manor, and Carrie receives a text from Samantha saying that Duncan is a fun guy. He's known in England as being fun, so she's really surprised by that. Carrie helps Miranda accessorize a really hideous orange jumpsuit with a orange bright ass scarf that she said she got at a tag sale on the street. And Miranda's hesitant to borrow this because apparently she once wrecked a Sonia Riquiel purse and Carrie never forgave her for it. But she's like, no, 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 this is just a little nothing scarf I got on the street. Okay. So then Miranda goes over to her new girlfriend's house, Joy. She's planning on spending the night there. And apparently she can't because Joy has these two groundhogs that whine and whimper when they let her out of the bedroom, and they don't want the dogs looking at them. So this is so upsetting that it causes Miranda to go back home. I mean, and they're like these little dogs. They're not like big ass, like totally giant racing greyhounds. They're like little adorable, quiet little, Argyle sweater kind of wearing little dogs that make hardly any noise. And these people, I mean, these New Yorkers are so freaking sensitive. You can't handle heels. Carrie's like deeply upset about slippers. Like slippers are ruining her whole life. And these dogs are whining a little bit, so they have to escape. These are the most fragile human beings on Earth. Okay, so we're at the Gramercy Manor. Shoe is on Carrie's head. We need more of that. I'd love to see Shoe take a big poop on Carrie's head and or pillow. That would be lovely. And Carrie wakes up and she goes outside and sees like Miranda is like completely naked, full frontal nudity, all Cynthia Nixon in the middle of the hallway. Didn't need to see that. And then Carrie goes back to bed. When she wakes up, she sees Miranda has eaten her last yogurt and eaten her last banana. And Miranda didn't think to buy any of her own food and bring it over. And Carrie is like nitpicky about everything. It's all the whole odd couple thing, only just over really minor shit. Again, just the most minor shit. These are the most first world problems. they're so annoying. They're acting like 8-year-olds. Who gets mad over a yogurt and a banana? And by the way, this place where they live in Grandmaster Park is like completely surrounded by all sorts of like stores and bodegas and stuff. Like there's no like stores everywhere. They can get this stuff. It's really not a big deal. And of course, Adam is sitting there in the backyard. He can't do any work because the mean British guy yells at him. Now, Adam seems to have been there a long time. Okay, like he's wearing a hideous, really thin T-shirt. I went to your hood and nobody knew you is what the T-shirt said. He's just such a dork, and he's sitting there with a kid. They don't get anything done. And he's been there for weeks. He's a gardener designing a little looks like I think I'm being generous when I say it's like a 6 by 12 foot space. How much time does this take, and why does he need to be on site for all of it? I understand taking time to design and draw and select plants, and he claimed when he first started this project he had a truck and workers. Why is it only him and his nephew, and they're just always hanging out, and they're just there to talk to? Like, I guess he's charging Carrie by the on-site hour because this is just taking way too long to get the stupid garden done. But yeah, but we'll see. We'll get back to that. Right now, they're inside the giant glamping tent. By the way, this glamping is really over the top. Like they have champagne service. They have all like this gourmet food. The digs on this place it's sick. It's pretty nice. And they're in this gigantic tent with these big beds in them. And Harry doesn't want to go outside because all the mosquitoes are biting him, and everybody's inside the tent on their screens and not engaging. And Lily wants to go back and see Diego, and Charlotte kind of has a fit and says everything. And they're like, "Why are you being so dramatic, Mom?" Because Mom just wants to have family time off the screen. And she screams out, "Everything's not okay." And then she goes off for a walk because she's about to lose it. And Harry's giving her the look like, "No, no, don't. They're just mosquitoes, honey." So she runs off. And LTW is sitting in front of her glamp tent with her kids, and they are eating this croque monsieur is divine. They're having croque monsieur. And then they take a picture of her kids, of two of them anyway. I don't know how many. I know she has at least 3 kids. Every time I see LTW, she has a different quantity of kids. So she could probably have 8 of them, and I wouldn't know. And so she takes a picture of the family of Herb and the kids, and then they want to take a look at it, and they swipe, and they see that LTW also has a selfie with her and Miriam. Shock among shock, and he's like, "Oh, I know you hired a guy, Herbert, but I didn't realize he was like so handsome, and why are you guys taking selfies?" She goes, "Oh, for the second editor." And then, "Oh, is it a threesome?" And somehow the little kid knows what a threesome is. And she's like, the LTW's like, "No, Herb is, your dad's just being silly." And Herb's like, "Oh, Mom's being silly out of town. No wonder she didn't get her chocolate. She had enough chocolate in Atlanta." Like, Herb sees some shit is up. Like, Herb's not having it. So LTW huffs off and she needs to go for a walk. And of course, she runs into, Charlotte, who's off looking out into the water over the, skyline of Manhattan. She's just trying to take a breath. And LTW is like, "Well, doesn't this place have a spa? We could do better than just hanging around here." Okay, so then we're back at the Gramercy Manor. Seema comes to see the Aiden table, but it's all covered with Miranda's reports and work and her research. And then Miranda comes up to clean it, accidentally spills Mexican Coke, Carrie's very last Mexican coat on the report, and then she uses the tag cell handkerchief to help clean it up of her precious research, and all hell breaks loose, and these women basically politely understand that they don't want to live with each other anymore. In the meantime, Seema goes outside in the back to have a smoke and to talk with Adam, and we find out Adam has a girlfriend who is a yoga instructor, and he thinks Seema needs yoga to like calm down and ease out, whatever, because Seema's worried about this loan, which in 2 seconds somehow she finds out she didn't get. Linda rejected her too. But again, so Adam is totally useless. Like Adam's not even a love interest. So we're gonna have him keep working and working and working on this endless garden until he goes through a breakup and then ends up with Seema, I suppose. But Adam is in the life now. The garden is hardly up still. I got a couple plants in there by the time he's talking to Seema, but you know, this is just endless and tedious and stupid. And they still haven't given Adam a personality or a shirt worth noticing that's any good. So I assume my guess is that eventually he'll hook up with Seema and Seema will dress him and we'll like him more. Then we get Miranda, Carrie, and Seema all up in that tiny Gramercy kitchen, and they just all decide, hey, Seema, why don't you help, Miranda find a house? You don't have a job. Like help a woman helping woman. Forget this lender who couldn't be a woman who helps a woman. Why don't we help women? All right, fine. So Lisa and Charlotte are in the pool at the spa, and they're just talking. And LTW confesses to Charlotte that she has a work crush, and Charlotte's like, "Well, that's not a big deal. It's small potatoes kind of thing." And then LTW notices that something's really wrong with Charlotte, and Charlotte can't say anything. So LTW just puts her hand on Charlotte's back, and it's like a touching, sweet moment. It's like an actual friendship moment, and I kind of miss those in this show. But it is a sweet, tender moment there. Okay, and so Carrie comes out to talk to Adam again, who's just making his nephew do everything. And all of a sudden, a fire alarm turns on. Smoke is coming out of Duncan's house. He has a pot of stew on the oven. The oven is on fire. The burners are swiping out flames. So, Duncan comes, sees that Carrie's coming in. She's trying to save the day. He tries to, wave out the fire with a cloth, a hand towel, and he drops the hand towel on the floor where Carrie's able to snuff out the fire with her high heels. And she's like, aren't you glad I was wearing heels? And he's like, well, my dinner is ruined. So, of course, this ends up with the dinner date. So they go out to dinner. And we find out that Duncan is struggling with writer's block. He's trying to write about Margaret Thatcher. He's never written in a woman's tone before. Carrie's talking to him about her new writing challenge. She's never done a historical novel or any novel yet, so she's nervous. And in the previews for next episode, we're going to see that they're going to help each other with their books, or I'll read your first chapter if you read mine, sort of a thing. But they come to mutual understanding. They flirt. They get along better over dinner. And then when she gets home and she enters her apartment, she takes off her shoes. So that's that. Aiden's coming back. I don't care about this new neighbor. I don't care about the new guy. I don't care about the old guy. I don't care about Marion. I don't know what to care. I care about Harry. I don't want them to kill off Harry. But I don't want this to be a deeply sad show. But I guess that's what what this show is. I mean, they friggin' killed off Big in the first episode. I think they're just really. I'm wondering what the predictions are of the show going to be. Used to be women were supposed to find their happily ever after, and so if they were even coupled up, that was fine. This time, I think they're just really gonna just make all these women just really single, and to make these male characters so bad or so riddled with death that we just don't care anymore. It's bleak and I don't know. I don't know. I don't like where this is going though. They better leave Harry alone. Is all I have to say. There's justice for Steve still. I still want to see him with a bunch of supermodels. And I know that we are going to see Steve later on in the series based on trailers and previews. Steve will come back at some point because there's a problem with Brady. I think so. I think they made it clear in the trailers that there's something wrong with Brady. But for now, I don't know. It is what it is. Just moving along, keep on trucking, and talk to y'all next week.